What if saving your family meant losing your own soul? What if a king had to become a monster just to stop his people from being destroyed? This isn't just a story about vampires or war. This is the heartbreaking rise of a father who sacrificed his humanity for the ones he loved. And the moment Vlad drinks that cursed blood, his destiny changes forever. This is the untold story of Dracula. Long ago, in the dark lands of Transylvania, there lived a brave and respected ruler named Vlad. His people didn't just obey him, they truly loved him. To them, he wasn't only a king. He was their protector, their shield, and the only thing standing between peace and destruction. One day, while inspecting the forests near his kingdom, Vlad discovers something terrifying. Lying silently in the dirt is the helmet of an enemy soldier. The moment he sees it, his expression changes completely, because he instantly realizes one horrifying truth. The enemy has already entered his land, and they aren't here by accident. Someone is planning something dangerous. Vlad suspects the enemy soldiers might be hiding near the tallest mountain in the region, a cursed place feared by everyone. Without wasting another second, he rides toward the mountain with his trusted companions. But what waits for them there is not human. Inside the dark cave, the atmosphere suddenly changes. The air feels cold, heavy, almost evil. And then out of nowhere, a horrifying creature attacks them with terrifying speed. It wasn't a man. It wasn't an animal. It was something far worse. A vampire. The creature moves like lightning in the darkness. Within seconds, Vlad's companions are brutally slaughtered. Blood splashes across the cave walls as their screams echo through the mountain. Vlad barely escapes with his life. Desperate and terrified, he runs toward the sunlight outside the cave, and the monster suddenly stops. Because the sunlight cannot touch him. That one moment saves Vlad's life. Shaken to his core, Vlad returns to his palace, haunted by what he witnessed. He immediately visits the kingdom's priest and asks in fear, "What was that creature? I've never seen anything like it before." The priest looks deeply disturbed. Then he reveals an ancient secret. He explains that the creature was once a human being, but centuries ago, he sold his soul to darkness and became a vampire. For years, the monster has remained trapped inside that mountain. But there is one terrifying condition. If he ever convinces another person to accept his powers, he will finally be free. Hearing this, Vlad immediately orders the priest to stay silent. "No one must know about this," he says quietly. "Some truths only bring fear." Time passes. One evening, the royal palace is filled with music, food, and celebration, until an unexpected guest arrives. A soldier from the Ottoman Empire. At that time, the Turkish Empire was one of the most powerful forces in the world. Smaller kingdoms were forced to pay gold and silver just to avoid being destroyed. Vlad had no choice but to obey them for years. But this time their demand is far more horrifying. The messenger coldly announces, "The Sultan requires 1,000 young boys from your kingdom. They will be trained to serve in our army." The entire palace falls silent. Vlad's eyes burn with anger. "That tradition is over," he says firmly. "I will never hand my people over to you." He offers them gold instead and promises to speak directly with Sultan Mehmed himself. But deep down, Vlad already knows this peace will not last. A few days later, Vlad meets Sultan Mehmed face to face. And what Mehmed says next changes everything. "I want the 1,000 boys," he declares. "And your son will be one of them." The moment Vlad hears those words, something inside him breaks. His blood boils with rage. The loving father disappears, and the warrior awakens. Without hesitation, Vlad draws his sword and brutally kills the Ottoman soldiers sent to take his child away. His closest ally looks at him in absolute horror. "My king, what have you done? You just declared war against the most powerful empire on earth." And he was right. The consequences would be catastrophic. But Vlad only has one thought in his mind now. No one touches his son. No one. That night, Vlad realizes the truth. Mehmed will return with an army large enough to erase his kingdom from existence. His people will die. His family will suffer. Everything he loves will burn. And so, he makes the most dangerous decision of his life. He rides back toward the cursed mountain, back to the monster. Inside the cave, Vlad desperately asks the vampire for help. And strangely, the creature smiles. Because the vampire has been waiting centuries for someone exactly like Vlad. Someone brave enough, desperate enough to accept his dark power. The monster cuts his hand and lets dark blood pour into a cup. "Drink this," he whispers, "and you will gain unimaginable strength. You will become powerful enough to destroy entire armies." But then his voice becomes darker. "There is one condition. If you can resist drinking human blood for 3 days, you will become human again. But if you taste human blood before then, you will remain a vampire forever. And I will finally be free." Vlad stares at the cup in silence. He knows this decision could damn his soul forever. But then he thinks about his son, his wife, his people. And slowly he drinks the blood. The pain is instant. His body collapses as darkness consumes him. When Vlad finally wakes up in the forest, he realizes something terrifying. He's no longer human. His senses become unbelievably sharp. He can hear distant heartbeats, move faster than the wind, and thousands of bats suddenly begin following him through the sky like servants of darkness. A new monster has been born. Meanwhile, the Ottoman army attacks Vlad's kingdom with thousands of soldiers. But this time, Vlad walks out alone. One man against an entire army. The soldiers laugh at him until the massacre begins. Vlad moves through the battlefield like death itself. Swords shatter. Bodies fly through the air. The ground turns red with blood as entire waves of soldiers are destroyed within moments. The survivors can't even understand what they're seeing. Fear spreads everywhere. When Vlad returns to the palace, his people stare at him in disbelief. "How did you do this?" they ask. But Vlad only replies quietly, "Don't ask questions you truly don't want answered." Soon news of the slaughter reaches Sultan Mehmed. Thousands of his soldiers are dead. And now rumors begin spreading across the empire that Vlad is no longer human. Furious, Mehmed orders a massive invasion. "Prepare the full army," he commands. "Destroy Transylvania completely. War is now unavoidable." As tension rises, Vlad's wife finally discovers his terrible secret. But Vlad promises her one thing. "If I can survive just 2 more days without drinking human blood, this curse will end forever." Wanting to protect his family and his people, Vlad sends everyone toward the church, believing it will be the safest place. But the Ottoman soldiers ambush them. Chaos erupts. People scream. Children cry. Bodies fall to the ground. And then Vlad arrives. Like a storm from hell, he tears through the enemy soldiers with unstoppable fury, saving the survivors. Now the truth spreads everywhere. The people whisper in fear. Vlad has become a devil. Even the Ottoman soldiers become terrified of fighting him. To stop his army from panicking, Sultan Mehmed orders his soldiers to cover their eyes during battle so they won't see Vlad's monstrous form. But things only get worse. Eventually, even Vlad's own people learn the truth. The man they once loved is now a vampire. Terrified, they betray him. They lock him inside a room and set it on fire, hoping to kill him. As flames surround him, Vlad screams in heartbreak and rage. "I sacrificed everything for you. My soul, my humanity, my life. And this is how you repay me." At that moment, his wife calms him down before complete darkness consumes him forever. But tragedy strikes again. The Ottoman army invades the castle. During the attack, Vlad's wife is mortally wounded, and their son is captured. As she takes her final breaths, she whispers the words that destroy Vlad completely. "Drink my blood. Only then will you become strong enough to save our son." Tears fill Vlad's eyes, because he knows exactly what this means. If he drinks her blood, there is no coming back. No cure, no salvation, no humanity left. But a father's love is stronger than fear. And so, crying in agony, Vlad bites into her neck and drinks her blood. At that moment, he fully becomes Dracula. The darkness inside him becomes unstoppable. To fight the enemy army, Vlad gives his blood to his remaining soldiers, transforming them into vampires as well. Then comes one of the most terrifying moments in the entire story. Vlad summons thousands of bats into the sky. Dark clouds cover the sun. Daylight disappears. The entire battlefield turns into night. The Ottoman army is swallowed by darkness. And then the final battle begins. Vlad and Sultan Mehmed finally stand face to face. But Mehmed had prepared for this moment. Knowing silver weakens vampires, he surrounds Vlad with countless silver coins, slowly draining his strength. Even Dracula begins to fall. But after a brutal and exhausting fight, Vlad finally kills Mehmed and rescues his son. For one brief moment, it feels like the nightmare is finally over. But the real horror is only beginning. Vlad asks his vampire soldiers, "How many survived?" And the answer chills him to the bone. "No one except your son." The vampires stare hungrily at the child, because now they crave blood. And Vlad realizes the painful truth. This nightmare exists because of him. He created these monsters. When one vampire tries to attack his son, Vlad explodes with rage and brutally kills him in front of everyone. The others immediately back away in fear. At that moment, the priest arrives. Wanting to save his child from the darkness forever, Vlad hands his son over to the priest for protection. The sky is still covered in dark clouds created by Vlad's powers. As long as the sunlight stays hidden, the vampires can survive. Then Vlad makes his final choice. A heartbreaking sacrifice. Using the last of his strength, he removes the clouds from the sky. Sunlight crashes onto the battlefield. One by one, the vampires begin burning alive. Their screams fill the air as their bodies slowly turn to ash. And among them, Vlad burns too. The king who sacrificed everything for his family dies with the monsters he created. Afterward, his son becomes the new ruler of the kingdom. But the story doesn't truly end there. In the final scene, the priest approaches Vlad's lifeless body and gives him blood once again. Suddenly, Vlad opens his eyes. Alive, reborn, but no longer human. And that's where this tragic story ends, leaving behind pain, sacrifice, and one unforgettable question. Was Vlad truly a monster? Or simply a father willing to lose his soul to save the people he loved? Dracula Untold teaches us that sometimes love can push a person beyond humanity itself. A father can sacrifice his kingdom, his soul, even his own humanity, just to protect his child. And sometimes the real monsters are not born in darkness. They are created by pain, war, and sacrifice.